On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we are talking about Picard 208, Mercy, and 209, Hide and Seek, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I am David C. Robertson.
Hey, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Matt.
Been too long. It's been too long. I had a crazy week last week and couldn't get on to cover last episode. So let's get right into them, man. Let's do this thing. 208.
Sure. 208.
Red dress, right? That's literally the only takeaway. I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I was joking around with someone on that Star Trek podcast, Rick of Starbase 66. He was like, yeah, I love those boots with that red dress. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, don't kink shame me. I'm like, no, I'm agreeing. I'm a kink agreeing.
I'm kink exalting.
But yes. Man, I'm sorry. I will be straightforward with you guys, all of you guys out there. I have not enjoyed the last several now. So,
oh, wow. I know the two this, prior to this, last week's you didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like those, and I don't like these two very much. Like, there are elements that I appreciate, but I am not really much in a favorable mood for either of these particular episodes, and I'm really sad about it.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
I defend Brent Spiner a lot, and it'd be like, it was the editing, it was the writing, it was the directing. No, he was laughably bad.
He was laughably bad. I thought he was particularly bad, and I loved the bringing back of Elnor. Absolutely love.
I hated it.
Oh, well, here's the thing. I love seeing him again, I should say. But especially after our conversation last week, where we were like, it just feels like they just have to use the same actors for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like there's no reason that hologram would have been Elnor, except to give Raffi that moment, which was nice. It was a nice moment.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go ahead and jump to 209.
Yeah. You were talking about Brent Spiner, and I was just bringing that up because that's what we're talking about.
He was pretty bad in both.
Yeah.
I do not buy that. So now holograms share memories with the people who are dying?
Well, he didn't say they shared a memory.
He said because I rewound it. He did say that.
He says his last thought of you were not of blame, but of love. Which,
how would he know that?
Because he's looking at the guy. Like, I assume this is. If my interpretation of that was this is the same holographic system that has the psychiatrist hologram in it. It has a lot of knowledge base in this hologram. And so he saw the look on the face of the dying, Elnor, the look of love. Right. And also he might just be doing that to help Raffi get over the thing she's trying to get over.
The hologram is lying to her.
Possibly.
Maybe. It's easily retconned.
Yeah. Now, I was wondering about that because it does seem like they might be trying to say that, the thing that bothered me more than that specifically was just why Elnor in general. And it seemed like they were saying because Elnor is a badass. And it's like, yeah, but the hologram wouldn't know all his moves either, unless they are saying that everyone who enters the La Sirena gets their brain scanned or something, which is weird. That is a weird leap to make.
Yeah, I don't think any of it made sense. I think it's just bullshit.
It was purely for, and this is what annoyed me about it. It was purely for the let's bring back the actor we like and let him be in one more scene or whatever. It's stuff that just doesn't make sense within the universe they've created, too. So absolutely.
It's he's running around with the mobile emitter. Why? The whole ship is a mobile emitter. He had his entire crew was.
Yeah, we've never seen a mobile emitter on that ship, right?
No,
and then suddenly he's got a mobile emitter. We don't even know that they have been able to recreate the mobile emitter. That was the first time we've seen that, right?
Clearly, they could.
Well, now we know, but up until now, we never knew that.
I would be fine. I don't need a rundown of what they've been able to create.
Sure.
I could just go okay, cool. They reverse engineered that shit. Awesome.
Yeah. No, me too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, and maybe if I go back, all of those bastards had mobile emitters.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
What's his face's crew?
Maybe
Rios' crew.
Yeah. All the mini Rioses.
Should we actually talk about Mercy?
Like the funny thing is, last night before this episode dropped, I was like, "Hey, you want to do a quick?" Or it was 2 nights ago. I was like, "You want to do a quick episode about episode 208?" And the reason I was like comfortable doing like a 10-minute episode is I have nothing to say about 208. I think that two things. I think that the Raffi and Seven relationship was really like well done. Like I like them together. I like them running around downtown LA. And I love Girardi in the red dress. I joke about the red dress that she's hot, but I actually love the visual of her in the red dress flipping off those cars. It just reminded me of like really great like Terminator type stuff. Like I just love that. And of course her Borgifying a group of people, that was kind of wild. And it's just like, wow, we're getting a full on Borg plot in this season, which I wasn't really expecting. Even though we had the Borg Queen and, obviously it was possible.
I'll say this. I'm not sure if it was stupid that she was eating pieces of car batteries, but it sure did seem stupid. It's like she's just like a metal zombie all of a sudden. It's like,
well, she's making nanites, man. It's all good. It does seem weird to have her eating them. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. It didn't bother me in the moment, but I see what you're saying. 208 didn't bother me, but it also I had almost nothing to say about it. It just felt like a get from here to there kind of episode.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm aggravated with that they did not make that guy Duquesne.
Right.
He was Duquesne in Voyager. He flew a Wells class ship. He's called Agent Wells. Nope. Turns out it's just because he played an agent in 12 Monkeys, and he was obsessed with H.G. Wells. So Terry Metalis was like, ha, let's do that. Dude, you knew what you were doing. That was a red herring. And I'm sick of this. Like, I think, rather than make him Agent Fox Mulder, which is what they did, it would have been way more interesting to see like the Confederation's version of the Temporal Fleet. Maybe they, got to where they got to the same place, but the 25th and 24th centuries were hell, and Picard has to like be like, no, things were so much better for us before, you have to help us, and he eventually helps. Like it could have been more interesting with the Temporal Fleet than with this like, hey, let's make a reference to Enterprise because of Carbon Creek. Do you remember that? Do you know that, what I'm talking about? Yeah,
that was who the Vulcans were? Is that what was going on?
Well, in Carbon Creek, they say that the Vulcans won't return for another however many years, and that actually corresponds to where that guy would have met them as a kid. So, like, it was like a fulfilling of a one-line reference that I honestly didn't freaking need. I'd much rather have a good story. Yeah.
The thing that bothers me is the thing that we were bothered by when he walked in the room. We had a lot of interesting ideas of who he could be. Could be Temporal Fleet. Could be a Q hiding his intentions. All those things. And instead it was the exact thing we were worried about. It was a 1-episode delay tactic.
Yep.
And I just didn't need it at all. So that entire plot line, I was just like, okay. Like, it was fine. It's just like, you're making a 3-season show about Picard. And I want you to explore the character of Picard and have him doing things. Yes, you're doing a lot in his mind, but like, Picard has done so little in either of these seasons, really. And I just really want Picard to have agency. I want it to be his show. And I understand they need to like build the new generation of Star Trek characters, and they're trying to do it off the back of this show with Rios and Raffi.
Are they?
They are. They definitely are.
Is that what they're trying to do?
Well, I mean, me and you talk about it all the time. We like, we could definitely get into a Fenris Ranger show or a Rios show.
But if one thing has been made abundantly clear, the things that we want them to do, they will not do. Like, the things that we think, this would be really interesting, they're not going to do it.
Well, I definitely think these characters are very much intended to be, like, created so that even if this show is only intended for 3 seasons, these characters could continue on either in their own shows, spin-offs, whatever.
We'll see.
I definitely think, I mean, like, I don't know that they're going to be able to do it or that there'll be the support to do it. But I mean, I think there's more support for like a Rios show than there would be for like Rios on the Stargazer. There's way more support for that than like almost any spinoff of Discovery, you know? Like I think there's a lot to be said for like what they've done. I love these characters. I really do. But just Picard himself, I don't need that episode wasn't about Picard. It was about this guy, this FBI agent that like, who cares? Like you said, it's Fox Mulder, but like really underdeveloped Fox Mulder. So yeah, I just had nothing to say, especially nothing to say good about that episode.
Yeah, I was not a huge fan. Going into okay. I did like Guinan Force projecting. That was dope.
Yeah, that was dope. Also, did you hear a little bit of Whoopi Goldberg in that?
No.
Some of her audio, when you don't see her face, you just hear Guinan talking to him at one point. I could have sworn they slipped some Whoopi Goldberg. They
may have. It may have been something from, because he was like having like little like echoes of like the future from her.
Yeah.
Their future conversations. So maybe, but that's the big thing now and has been for like 15, 20 years. Someone does something with their mind, like some mind power, got to have the blood trickling out of the nose.
Sure.
Like, this is how bad it is. My nose is bleeding. Like, I don't even have crazy mind powers. Like, I'll blow my nose and my nose is bleeding. Like, what does that mean?
It's all the cocaine, man.
No.
It predates the cocaine.
I stopped that last week. Did you see the bit on the Johnny Depp defamation trial when they were like trying to be like, are you saying that this box did not have cocaine in it? He's like, well, I suppose some cocaine could have fit in there. Man, what a show that is.
What a show. Most interesting show on television this week. Yeah, it's been wild. I've seen big chunks of it. No, that's not true. Moon Knight's better.
Well, Atlanta's better.
Atlanta, yeah. Actually, no, I haven't seen Atlanta. I liked Woke, though. I saw you post about Woke on
Woke is good.
Woke's been really good. Anyway, let's talk about 209. Let's do our job.
We might be doing the wrong podcast. We should just do a podcast called Good TV Universe. We'll only talk about good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, this show got slightly bad. Bye.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we got confirmation Q was dying, and I did like his performance. He's just fading. He thought he was going to be going to the next grand adventure, and he's just fading. And I dig that, man. Yeah. And we did get confirmation that where he's like, I didn't send him to the past. Picard sent himself to the past.
Yeah,
that was funny.
So yeah, I love that, and I forgot about it. Now that I'm thinking back, I kind of forgot that happened. Partially because they took an entire episode to do the Borg thing without mentioning Q at all. Yep. And it's like, okay, I get it. There are 2 plot lines to wrap up. But the way to do that gracefully is to tie them together.
Yeah.
And it's weird that I actually don't hate 209. I thought it was pretty good. But it annoys me though that we've left the Q storyline behind completely after such a big moment to find out Q's dying. Mm-hmm. We get a complete lack of Q in the next episode. So 209. This is your classic Siege plot line. I think it was cool visuals, cool fight sequences. Brent Spiner is atrocious.
As is whatever CGI they were using to place him in that field, in that vineyard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the CGI in the field was weird. It felt like cartoons being they were moving a little too fast to be human.
It was Blue's Clues. It's like he's standing on a cartoon background.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. We mentioned we hated the Elnor bit. I like seeing him. It's like one of those things. And him saying "Oh my" when he found the sword was pretty fun.
See, that bugged me just because I'm like, okay, you've got soldiers, Borg soldiers running around, and you're like, I don't want all these guns. How about a sword? I mean, it's kind of funny, but also it's like, one, is really played, because that's the scene we always get in movies. We're like, no, I'm going to go for the really shittier weapon.
Right. Sure.
Because I'm really good at it.
Well, I'm assuming the thing is he has the sword. Were there guns available to him?
Dude, he picked up like 3 guns and went, nah.
The reason you go with the sword is it's silent. Like, that's the reason people go with the sword in any media. Because you can kill people without the people around them seeing you found them. You know?
Well, I mean, he just ran out in the middle of the room and just started hacking at people. Like,
right, but then he goes back into the shadows, and then he comes back in, and then he goes back. You know, he does a number of like sort of stealth kills throughout that episode.
Yeah,
like it makes sense to get the sword, and it's like what he's skilled with. It's what the weapon we saw with him the first time. You know,
which he's a hologram. He can be skilled with anything.
Agreed. Yeah, it's a little dumb. Oh man, it's just such a mess of things that I'm like, hey, it's the thing I like, Elnor, that guy I like.
Yeah.
But then there's all this weight of like, but it makes no sense he's here. Why?
Yeah. It's like they have thrown away every really cool opportunity they've had, and it's like they haven't delved into the supervisors, the Gary 7 people. They haven't done really anything with that.
Yeah, she's just there.
She's just there.
She's like their like Q, from James Bond. You know, they're like, we need the transporter, we need some weapons. Have the supervisor bring them.
And then La Serena, like they're like, oh, we need weapons, and I'm like, why didn't anyone take weapons? Because there's a ton of weapons that Elnor is choosing. Okay.
Yeah. Now you're talking about. You're in the middle of a battle and you choose the stupid weapon. Here's the thing I didn't like in the middle of the battle. Mm-hmm. Picard does not know at all that the Borg have been subdued. Not even a little. And he takes the time to tell a childhood story to the supervisor. They are sitting in the house. Brent Spiner's gone AWOL after that explosion. And like, they're just like sitting there. There's Borg everywhere as far as they're concerned. And like he's just like decides to sit and have the conversation. Oh,
that's not the only time he does it. Like they have whole conversations in those tunnels,
right?
About
but in
bullshit.
During those, they're walking around though, at least. But in that last one, after the explosion, they literally sit down like on a freaking park bench, and he tells her the story of his mother. Like, and he's actually like the other ones, he's having visions, and then he'll like mention like, "Oh, I've been in this room once before," and those make sense. Those are like him having flashbacks. But this was like, I need to tell you the story of my mother. And then he like sits down and they just like have a conversation while the Borg are attacking. His greatest enemy, the greatest threat to like life in the Federation, are like outside their doors about to destroy the timeline. And he's like, but let me tell you a story. Have a Werther's original. It's just really like so stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I had some major issues and I have had some major issues. Like, I cannot understand how these people are like, dude, I don't need 20 minutes of a 59-minute episode to be like this really horrible actor of a kid walking around going, maman. Like, he doesn't seem like, like his dad's sitting there going like, oh, he's so smart. I'm like, the kid playing him seems a little challenged. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they're doing with him, but
also,
maybe it's just
where is his brother?
Like,
where is his brother? It's like,
well, Robert, I don't know how old Robert is supposed to be.
Oh, because maybe he's supposed to be younger. Well, he can't be younger, and at least not a full-blooded brother.
Well, his brother is older.
Like maybe he's already moved on to college.
Yeah, he may have gone off to do a thing, but I thought that was kind of the point, is that he never did.
Yeah, exactly. He never moved on. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe he lived in the house next door or something. Maybe he's like living on, in the like whatever house so that he can work on the farm or something.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I don't dig the kid that's playing him.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like Picard, and he's talking about how smart he is, and I'm like, I just don't get it. He doesn't seem smart at all. He seems like he's just not all there.
Those scenes just felt forced as hell to me. It just felt like we have to tell this part of the story. And I don't even, like, it's exactly what we talked about it being last week when he touches the door. I was like, he's going to touch the door, and then his mom's going to get out, and then she's going to do something bad to herself.
Yeah.
Like,
that's obvious.
That was what we saw from, you know, it's just, and this was tragic and hard to watch, but it's just tough because there's so many little things that in the back of my mind are like, why is this now? Like, why are we sitting down while the Borg are attacking? This could have happened before the attack. He could have had all these revelations before the attack, or after he finds out the La Sirena is safe. You know, it just doesn't make sense to sit down and have that conversation. And then on top of that, there's all the stuff that you mentioned that he meets his mother in TNG.
No, he doesn't meet her.
Oh, he doesn't.
They actually like, he talks about her like she lived longer than she did, apparently. But they did like throw in a line where he's like, I used to imagine her, you know, as an older woman offering me tea and wanting a chat, which is what we got in TNG. So
gotcha.
Where no one has gone before. So they rewrote continuity and they threw a line in there to try to make it work. Okay. All right. So his dad was no longer the abusive piece of shit he was always hinted at being. Right. And now his mother committed suicide at a very young age. And whatever, man. Yeah. Honestly, this is embarrassing to me. As a Star Trek fan, I feel embarrassed. Like, I feel like, why are we doing this?
Me too.
And I hate this feeling.
Me too. Because this should be the most prestige thing Star Trek's got going for it right now. Mm-hmm. And it should be, all of the resources should be being put into making this show great. Mm-hmm. Because this has the best chance of making a future for the franchise. It has the best chance for bringing in old fans and new fans and people who were kind of fans of TNG. But like it's got so much potential. I sat down and watched the first season with my mom this week, and she loved it. She like absolutely loved it. Like there's a lot of potential here for this show to be really well done, and maybe that she loved it, and I loved a lot of those episodes that she watched too. You know, the first season I really liked, like the first 9. And there's just a lot of potential there, and it just feels like it's being squandered on weird decisions and like just weird. The fact that they've like reused all the actors in weird ways is just distracting. Yeah. It's one thing when it's one person like Brent Spiner, like we said, but it's full. This is now that they've reused Elnor, it's like 5 people that they're just like reusing. Yeah.
And I feel like they've done 9 episodes. It should have been 4 or 5 episodes. So like it's just posturing, constant. Like, well, we'll do this thing. We'll just do this thing. Why are we doing any of this bullshit?
Something I thought about 208. Something that really bothers me actually. He just had the episode where he realized the monster that he thought his father was not a monster. Mm-hmm. Then there's a line in 208. Where he's like, those weren't monsters, those were Vulcans. There's like an easy connection they could have drawn between him learning that lesson last episode and him like being like, sometimes the things we believed as children were threats aren't threats. Like we have to learn these things and like move on. And sometimes
I think they thought they were.
Yeah, I don't think they did though. That's all they did. Those weren't monsters. Those were Vulcans. That's the extent of the line.
They're gonna have Q. We're gonna have Q say, all humans are stuck in the past, and that'll be our connection.
Right.
This is our theme of the season.
Yeah.
Screw you guys. You suck.
Yeah. It really does feel like it's falling apart. And the thing is, like, there's all these little problems that I have. But, like, again, 209, the overall thrust of the episode, I thought the Borg were interesting and cool. I like Jurati, the new Jurati Borg. But this is the thing. I know where it's going. And it's going to go to, we jump into episode 10, they go back to the future, and she's the one in the mask. Mm-hmm. Which makes no sense. Like, it will make sense from their perspective now, but it makes no sense that she came to them asking, like, we come and we now offer a choice or something like that whole thing was already in the first episode. So like that shouldn't have been in the timeline until they brought her back and changed the timeline.
Yeah.
It does, and
Paradox.
Well, it's going to be paradox, and it's just going to be a Borg saying you have such 3-dimensional thinking or whatever. And it's like, like you're a paradox. Like, don't give me that shit.
They're just going to be like, well, this was always meant to happen. She was always like, Picard was always meant to blow up the thing, and they were always meant to wake up another universe and go back in time, and it's going to be a 12 Monkeys thing.
Yeah.
Jerry Metalis.
Yeah. There you go.
Predestination paradox, or whatever the hell they call it. We have a little feedback if you want to get into that.
I would love to hear the feedback.
Sure.
I want to say something. I want to say positive things though. I want to and I really do like the Borg thing. Like, I love Jurati. For the most part, I really liked her performance as the Borg queen. I liked her inside of the Borg, convincing her that they could go a different way this time. She's smart enough and understands the Borg enough, and spent the last few episodes digging around her mind. Like, I love that stuff. And I love the convincing the villain to be a new kind of creature that maybe create a universe of sevens or whatever, or create a Borg full of sevens.
Yeah, that was fun. People
with freedom. I like that idea, and I would love to see them really explore it in the next season, which I'm sure they will, because they'll have to reuse that actor contractually. All right, let's... What's their feedback?
Okay. Ferdinand Cesarno on YouTube says, Seven and Rafi's relationship was covered in the audio episode No Man's Land. Surely the host of a Star Trek podcast didn't just skip that Picard episode. Yes, we did.
An audio episode? Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's fine. Like, I'm all for extended content. I've read a couple of the Picard books, but if it's not on the show, it's not on the show. And where does that audio episode fall? Is it prior to the last episode?
It happens in between season 1 and 2. It explores their relationship, Fenris Rangers bullshit.
Right, but they're still holding hands for no reason at the end of the season. I'm all for the relationship. I really like them together. I'm just saying it feels really tacked on. Like, they never introduced the idea. Probably because it's hard to introduce the idea of relationship. It's easy to just be like, these guys are in one.
Did you hear that whole thing about how they gave the story of how they decided to put them together?
No.
Right before the last episode, they saw them at a convention, and they saw them together, standing together, and they were like, oh, they look hot together.
I mean, they're not wrong, but still.
Well, yeah, but that's not, you don't make huge character decisions because of that.
No, you don't.
Oh, God.
Well, and it's just I really do like them together, and I don't mean they're hot together. They which they are. But I think they are incredibly fun together. They bounce off each other well.
I bet.
I like their arguments. I like their sort of the amount of care they have for each other while not sacrificing who they both are, because they're both obsessive in their own ways. I think they fit. I really like it. It works really well. And being charitable to whoever said that in an interview that they never should have said. Maybe they saw them together and they were like, that would be hot. And they're like, wait, their characters do have some overlapping themes that would work well. Maybe we do that. Sometimes you get ideas from weird places, sure.
So yeah. But by the way, I did not buy that Starfleet wouldn't let Seven in. After serving for so long on Voyager as part of a Starfleet crew, I just didn't buy it.
I don't know, man. The Starfleet we come back to is the same Starfleet that decided to abandon the Romulans.
Nah, something else I never really completely bought.
Yeah.
But whatever. Metalis has said that maybe it looks like we're going to get into some more why Starfleet is the way they are now because of stuff after the Dominion War.
Interesting.
So, if we could get some of that, yes, please.
I like that idea. I love the idea of bringing in the Dominion War at all. Mentioning it would be nice.
Are we going to blame the Dominion War for Star Trek sucking?
No, yeah. Nah. It's just a bummer, man, because I really... it's all these little nitpicky things that bother me, but it just bothers me because it shows a lack of care for the show. It just shows a lack of stewardship. And that really bums me out.
It's like when I watch like quality science fiction, like Severance.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fine. That's fine. You don't have to have. But when I watch something like that, and then I watch Star Trek, and I'm like, no, Star Trek should have been the better thing.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, anyway. you got all this cachet, and it's hard because I know Star Trek is also niche, so it's like it's a hard thing to do because it's hard to make good Star Trek because you've got fans who want a very specific thing, and they all want a very different specific thing, and like it's not an easy task, but it's just like the quality level should be kept high. You got this brand, you got this chance to make something that people are going to watch, like. It needs to have at least the like thoughtfulness of other TV.
Yeah, they're just giving us these mystery boxes like, oh, Picard walks through the door. What does he see? We've been teasing that shit for however many episodes, a whole season almost, and we all knew that she was going to be dead, that she was going to have hung herself, or something bad was going to happen. Like
it definitely wasn't a mystery that like. Something bad was going to happen.
But they treated it like it was going to be like some big like reveal. And I'm like...
Yeah, I mean, her hanging herself... I will say this. Because he mentions her in TNG and we thought she was alive based on what he said. And in this episode, they used that clever like... I often thought of her as an older woman or whatever. Like, it was kind of a reveal. Because I up until the very last minute was thinking like, no, but he mentions her in TNG. She's alive. Wait, no, she's a lot. Oh, okay. They either changed it and then they threw that line and I was like, oh, okay. All right. They did surprise me with what actually happened. I just thought she was going to, I mean, we talked about it 2 episodes ago. Like, no, she's not going to die because she's alive. Yeah. But then,
I suspected they were going to have her commit suicide and that they were going to just ignore TNG. So I'm at least happy that they gave the line.
Yeah. That part didn't bother me so much, but I agree. I guess I wish they just treated all of that in the same episode. You know, and I guess it's 2 lessons that Picard is learning. To forgive himself for what he did and to forgive his father and like understand that his father wasn't a monster. Those are 2 different lessons, but I kind of feel like that story was so tied together that it could have been handled well in a one thoughtful episode.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. All right, let's move on to some other feedback.
Yeah. Throw some more feedback at me.
HLB Comer says, you missed the most important Metalis question. Will some of the classic Star Trek writers return for the final Picard season? And he said no. So we will get the same garbage writers that already ruined Discovery and Picard. They will continue this weekend at Bernie's with Star Trek's corpse until there is nothing more left to destroy.
Oh, yikes.
I don't think it's all that dire. And of course the other writers are coming back. They've all got their own, like, they're running their own shows and shit. Like, like Ronald Moore is doing Outlander. Everybody's busy or dead.
It would be rad if Ronald Moore came back into a show. I would be
it would
really on board with Ronald Moore coming back and running a show for Star Trek again. I
would too. Like, I would love it if they brought him back to run a show, but as long as he's got his show running, he's not going to.
No. I don't think Picard would be the show I'd want for him. Like a Kira Nerys show or like whatever, a Worf show. Like, give me any of that.
Yeah. I mean,
a Worf show about him, like, doing whatever he's doing now. I wanted to come up with something. Well,
we'll find out. We'll find out in season 3 of Picard.
Yeah,
it'll probably be something lame, like he's got like a prune vineyard.
It's next to Picard's. It's just a prune vineyard next to Picard's wine vineyard.
We can't figure out anything for these people to do that's interesting.
And they like live next door, but they don't talk. I mean, they never really talked.
Well, you never speak to Picard? He will not cut down that tree, and it is blocking the sun from my window. I do not have a good morning view.
But no, like all the DS9 stuff with like the Klingons and like getting a little backstory on like Worf and like what's gone on in the last 20 years with the Klingons and how he's relating to the Klingons now and how they're relating to Starfleet and like, really seeing the Klingons in Starfleet in a more positive place because after I assume after the Dominion War they would continue to be sort of allies and that would continue. And it'd be interesting to see, like, what if the Klingons got brought into the Federation? You know what I mean? Like, what would that mean? You know, or if like some want them to and some don't. You know, whatever. I could totally see a really fun plot line there. And with his DS9 experience, they've touched on all that with Worf. So, of course, when did he leave DS9?
Well, it was the last episode.
Oh, okay. DS9. So he was there till the end. Okay, for some reason,
because he was going to be like an ambassador.
No. I'm talking about Ronald D. Moore. Sorry.
Oh, Ronald D. Moore. Oh, he at the end of DS9. Thought you were talking about Worf.
Great. No, yeah. He was the last episode.
Ronald D. Moore left DS9. He went over to Voyager when DS9 ended. He was there for 2 days, and he got fed up and left.
So that's the thing. Like, Ronald D. Moore is so good at knowing how to weave canon in without making it distracting and without, like, fan service without destroying what you're trying to build. He's so good at it in DS9, and I think he'd be perfect for something like a Worf show. And he's already done so well with the Klingons and the Federation relationship.
More importantly, I just want him to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, sure. Have you watched Outlander?
Nah.
Well, then shut up.
Why? I want the guy to be creatively fulfilled. I just haven't seen his shit. I mean,
support it then. Support it then, Dave.
I will get to it. I actually plan to get to it.
I've seen the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and it is very. I hear it gets really good, and I mean it wasn't bad. Like from the beginning, it's pretty good, but it is very much like, it's a love story show, and I have a hard time staying super motivated through those. Like, I like a good love story, but kind of mixed in with my genre television. And this is more like genre television kind of on top of a love story. And I'm just like less interested. Yeah.
I like Ron. So I'd like to see him get to do whatever the hell he wants to, even if I don't watch it. I mean, why not?
Oh, me too, man. I'm just teasing you.
we got a bunch of feedback. I'm going to skip some because some of it's not really relevant to anything for these 2 episodes, but we will get to it in a later episode. One last thing. Stu Little over on Twitter says something that bothered me about, I think it was like episode, or it was either Mercy or the episode before that. He says, like the newsroom did in one episode, the main character has a conversation with an imaginary version of their father without realizing it, because apparently they completely forgot what their dad looked like. Now, I can't speak for the newsroom. I did see it, but I don't remember what the context of that was.
No, I don't either.
But you often see that trope in television because it's a real thing. It's called disjunctive cognition, I think. But it's something I do. Like, I will dream and I'll be like hanging out with someone that I don't recognize, but I know who they are. Or like I will know someone, or I'll be hanging out with someone who looks like someone I know, and I won't know who they are until like later on in the dream, and I'll be like, "Oh, you're Matt." Or
yeah. I definitely have dreams like that.
Like another version of that is like when you were your adult self and you are for some reason back in another place in time that happened way back in the past, but you're your age now instead of your age then.
Yeah.
That's a different form of disjunctive cognition. So, but yeah, that's a thing that's very common actually in dreams, and so I think I I'll shit on these episodes as much as I can. Don't get me wrong. But you're wrong, Stu. This shit's real. It's real in my mind.
In Picard's mind.
Anyway, that's all I got, man.
Cool, man.
Let's wrap her up.
Thanks, guys, for joining us on the Star Trek universe. We'll be back real soon with more podcasts. More
bitching.
Yeah, exactly. Does Strange New Worlds start next week?
May 5th, man.
Dude, I don't know how I'm going to do it. We got...
Well, you won't.
Well...
As last week proved.
Well, last week was... My mom was sick. I had a lot to do to help her out. But, like...
I mean, you're not gonna be like, I've got to make sure I get that, Strange New Worlds premiere over Doctor Strange. MCU takes total precedent.
The last Moon Knight is May 4th.
Yeah.
Then we've got Doctor Strange, May 5th. and the 2 episodes, the finale of Picard and the introduction of Strange New Worlds. Like, that's so much content on one day. I'm really excited, but within 24 hours, I don't know how. We'll probably have to cover. Maybe we'll just be able to hop on like we did when they overlapped. Maybe we'll be able to hop on and do a quick one for one of the 2, and then the other of the 2 a couple days later.
Maybe so. I'm just saying, numbers wise, Star Trek ain't the winner there.
Well,
like, I love Star Trek. You love Star Trek. We want to talk about Star Trek. That's not what this is about. This is about numbers and time. And in this case, Doctor Strange and Moon Knight are your sick mother. They take precedent.
Indeed. Moon Knight is my sick mother. That's a good point. All right, guys, we'll be back sometime next week to talk about those 2 episodes. Peace. Jolan True.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.